all good. Can't complain now. It's a lovely sunny day here in Portugal, so it was a nice change up from the west of Ireland. Training here today.
Yeah, not that sunny here, Jack. Congrats on the call up. Do you think you have something to prove?
I don't think so. Definitely not to myself, anyways. It would be nice, I suppose, kind of. Maybe the narrative kind of up until now has probably been since the World Cup, and I think it'd be nice to kind of maybe close that chapter if I get on the field. But yeah, look, it's been a long kind of journey up and down. I think every player goes through periods of their career where there's periods of non-selection, and I think it's about how you I suppose how you learn from that. And I think I've learned a lot about myself, and my teammates have learned a lot about me as well. So great to be back in the setup, and hopefully the next couple of weeks are good to me.
Yeah, do you feel you were hard done by, Jack? Should you have been called up sooner in the last couple of years?
Not necessarily. I think I suppose we can talk about the last 2 years and we can move on from it then. But I think initially, when I did come back from the World Cup, look, my form wasn't good enough to warrant selection. In Connacht, Conor Fitz was playing incredible rugby, and when I came back, it's well documented. I would have said that I was nearly trying too hard. As I kind of came back from a World Cup, I was in a position where maybe I saw myself as second choice, and I really wanted to kick on and maybe probably force things on my end. And that, as a 10, you can never really, if you look to force things, you're going to be in trouble. I think what has helped me, the way that we're trying to play in Connacht and the way that Ireland play, there's some similarities, and it's been a nice, I suppose, I've had to evolve as a player from maybe what I've done previously up until this season. So at the start of the season, I was a bit wary on kind of how it was going to go for me, but I think credit has to go to Mossy, Cully and Pete and Friendy in terms of how they went about that change in me and then the way we were playing as a team.
And just finally for me, how open is that number 10 slot at the moment? Because obviously Johnny hasn't had much game time recently. Do you think there's a realistic chance of getting a start over the next few weeks?
Look, that's what we're all striving for. I think Johnny's been there, he's done that, he's this captain, so I would think if and when he's fit, he will be starting. So I think for me, as I said previously before, it's about if the opportunity does come, I need to have the confidence and authority around me that Johnny gives, and that will give confidence then to all the other players.
Thank you, best of luck.
Cheers, Paul. Thank you.
Hi Jack, how are you doing?
Hi Neil.
Andy spoke at the Six Nations launch on Wednesday, and he was saying one thing in particular about you is he thinks your game has actually improved by taking on the captaincy at Connacht this season. I know you spoke as well earlier on in the campaign about how you were getting used to it and it was something you weren't usually comfortable with in the past, but do you think has gone in a couple of months from that extra responsibility?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a lot more mindful of what I say to the players. I'm a lot more prepared in different aspects in terms of messaging throughout the week, whereas previously, maybe before, that was a thing where it would have been thought of on the spot and maybe my messaging wouldn't have been as accurate to the players around me. I think what that has given me then, in Connacht we have, I suppose, key principles in what we're trying to do, whereas maybe previously before, if things aren't going the way I want them to be, I probably had nothing to fall back upon to kind of go back to what we were doing. Whereas now we have that. It's very simple for me in attack, with them principles, especially around squareness, and I think that's what probably is that, coupled with the preparation throughout the week, has probably pushed me in terms of the leadership and the performance part.
And then just lastly for me, does it matter for yourself personally that you got back into the squad on merit from your performances, rather than, for example, if there had been 2 or 3 injuries and they had to start reaching down for players that necessarily weren't too high up in the ladder? Does that even matter for yourself personally? Is it just all about being there in the squad and whatever way you get in, it doesn't necessarily matter?
No, initially when I was in, I got in through injury when I got my first cap, but I think it's given me more confidence, the fact that it was on merit, and that's, look, I was delighted with that. Obviously there's players kind of coming back from injury and stuff like that, but the fact that as you said, I was picked and I wasn't kind of down the bottom being picked up for that. So no, I'm delighted with how the selection panned out.
Right, cheers. Good
Thanks,
luck,
Neil.
Jack.
Cheers.
Hi Jack, Aisling here
Hey
from
Aisling,
Off the Ball.
how are you? Good. I saw you had Andy Friend on last night. He was in good form.
Yes, we did, yeah, just this morning. It was brilliant, really good chat. And we were speaking as well to Andy Farrell just in the Six Nations launch during the week, and he basically said that he had kept the communication line with you the whole time and sort of gave you feedback. I'm sure having that communication must have helped you drive on.
Yeah, definitely. I only looked at my book, my notebook there when I was coming to Portugal, and I looked at the previous chat that myself and Faz had. A lot of the stuff he spoke about were things then that I took note of and actually went out and tried to implement. And as I said kind of earlier on, a lot of the things that we're trying to do in Connacht, there's obviously things that are different, but the key principles part is definitely something that is similar to how we're trying to play here. So I think, as I said, the way we play is complementing the way that we want to play here as well. So it's an easier transition this time.
And did you ever have any doubts that you'd be back, or was that always the goal?
It was always the goal. I think maybe when you try to focus too heavily on a goal, you might get kind of lost in the part in between. And I think I certainly did that for a period of time. It was not until I stopped worrying about that and kind of got back to what I had to do daily, weekly, monthly, that I was able to actually slowly kind of get back to where I am now. That being said, I'm still not where I want to be, so I'm going to kind of worry about the kind of end goal when that comes about.
And one of the things as well that Andy said, he said your ball in hand has really improved leaps and bounds since you last played for Ireland. Was that something that you really worked on?
Yeah, it is. And look, the squareness part as well. I was quite lateral in attack previously in other years, just in terms of how we played, and it worked well for us. But I probably wasn't as much as a threat on the ball, and I find now with how we're trying to play in Connacht, I'm able to bring other players into the game. Other players are seeing what I'm seeing, and there's a lot of fluidity in how we're trying to play. So it's incredibly enjoyable. So I'm hoping to bring that to the Irish team as well.
A very last one from me, just the way you speak about Andy Friend, he obviously is a really good coach.
Yeah, wonderful coach. He his capacity for human empathy and emotional intelligence is massive. Like, he's a coach. Second, and kind of firstly, he's there to, as he said last night to you, he's a support staff, but it's all encompassing in how he does that. 50% of it would be on the field, but some of the stuff he does off the field for players, I've kind of seen him go leaps and bounds for certain players over the years. So a lot of that stuff wouldn't be known, and that's kind of how Friendly likes it, which speaks volume for the type of person he is.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Jack.
Cheers, Aisling. Thank you.
Hi, Jack. It's Ruth Foreman here from ETV. Congratulations on the call.
Thank you very much, Ruth.
Just want to check in about the off-field stuff, because you talked about how you've grown on the pitch, but you've grown on the pitch, but off the pitch, how different are you from a couple of years ago as well?
I'd say there's similarities. I would like to think I'm not as, like, in the environment now. As I said earlier, previously before I was so hell bent on like getting to that end goal, that maybe off the field I was probably a disaster to be around at times. I think when I play best is when I have a smile on my face. So if I can kind of set up things off the field to be in a place where they need to be, I think it enables me to excel and do what I want to on the pitch. So I think, look, when I was maybe playing rugby for many years, I probably looked like I had the stress of the world on my shoulders, or the weight of the world on my shoulders. Whereas now, look, I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm enjoying this new environment. It's been brilliant, The lads have been really welcoming. So no, there's a lot of similarities, but at the same time, I'd like to think that there's a lot more enjoyment in it for me.
Great, thanks very much.
Thanks, Ruth.
Hey Jack, congrats on the call-up. Can I just ask you then, when you were watching Ireland Day in November and up close, obviously the last one, how much were you looking at that thinking that could really suit the way I'm playing?
Yeah, there were elements about it, and then there was parts where I were completely new, and I was like, I actually didn't know what they were actually not what they're doing. It was obviously something that they'd worked on, and I was kind of like really wanting to know. So I was asking Bundy and Finlay kind of what were they doing in these situations. So after getting in and without kind of not giving anything away, getting an understanding of what Faz and Caddy want in attack has been really eye-opening for me.
Obviously the ball in hand stuff is really important, but kicking arguably since you last played for Ireland has become even more important in Test rugby. You must feel like that could be a point of difference potentially as well if you get back on the pitch there. Yeah,
massively. So look, obviously international rugby is kind of about how you apply pressure, and I'd like to think that if there is kick space, whether it be contestable or long, that through the lads around me I'll be able to find it. There was obviously one or two at the weekend which put us under a bit of pressure, but I think the power of it is here that you've a variety of different kickers across the backline that you can shift at one, bring up the backfield, and then look to put it in behind. So I'm sure the kicking load will be shared amongst the backline.
And lastly, just obviously Johnny's the captain now, whereas in the World Cup that was Rory Best. What's he been like to work with? Is he different areas as a skipper, or is he very much the same personality?
No, from what I've gathered, he's the same personality, leading by example. I think the way that he speaks, it's definitely something that I'll take back in terms of how I do it in Connacht. You can see that when he speaks, he's obviously prepared of what he's talking about, but then also his ability to communicate a message on the spot I find is incredibly accurate. So that's definitely something I'll be speaking to him about to see kind of how he goes about that.
Best luck over the next one.
Cheers, Murray. Thanks.
Hi Jack, could I just ask one question please at this time?
Sure, yep, all good, Jerry.
Sure Jack. What are your aspirations for this Six Nations?
I'd like to get quality game time. I suppose be comfortable in the environment which I have been so far. I'd like to think that if I do get the opportunity, get game time, that I'll add to the team. I think getting understanding of what we're trying to do in attack especially is the biggest thing for me at the moment. As I said, there's similarities, but there is a lot of things that are different. So it's about kind of getting that feel, and I suppose working with the nines, and then having Bundy and Robbie there, who I have good relationships with already. It's just kind of tapping into them as a resource to kind of see how things are run.
And aside from being more square in attack and less ladder, is there any other aspects of your game that have improved since 2019?
I think defensively, I've the last kind of couple of years, I think when maybe my attack hasn't been where I wanted to be, my defence has always been something that I can go back to. It's something that would have been, when I was a young fella, probably wouldn't have been something that I would have enjoyed as much, but now I really enjoy it. It's something that I'd like to take pride in terms of kind of getting off the line and making defensive readings tackles. So I'd say defensively, Jerry, I'm probably in a better place than I was, definitely.
Very lastly, when your goal kicking race was brought up, I was on a podcast with Andrew Trimble, and I was making the point that you play every second game next to the Atlantic, like a lot of other halves in goal kick, and Andrew made a good point that whenever your goal kicking average is brought up, you should have underneath the brackets, lives in Galway.
Yeah. Pardon?
In the West.
Yeah, I think that would be a nice one. There's 2 or 3 there that if I'd certainly got, I'd be up towards more like 78, 79%. I think I'm ballpark 75% at the moment. So I think if it's them kind of lapses in concentration. I was delighted how the last 2 weeks have went, especially in Europe. So it's just about kind of consistently nailing them ones that you're kind of bread and butter ones that you're meant to get. But you can put that asterisk. You can put that asterisk with any of the ones that are in Galway. It'd be great.
Cheers, Jack.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.